Hey there everyone, welcome back to another Game Vault video. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault, and we're going to talk about Ubisoft again today. We haven't really talked too much about Star Wars Outlaws on this channel. For me, the game was kind of DOA a long time ago. I grew up with Star Wars. I was 6 years old when the original movie came out, and I saw it in the theater with my father. And subsequently, I've seen every film in the theater since then, as far as the major trilogy goes, or the main story goes, and I saw Rogue One as well, and that was it. I didn't bother with Solo and all the crap on. I watched a little bit on Disney Plus before I canceled my subscription to that because it was just garbage, and it's just getting worse and worse. And to be quite frank, I'm done with Star Wars. So let's cue up the music and we'll talk about this. Alright, so it looks like a German YouTube channel removes their Star Wars Outlaws preview video after admitting a third-party agency had to approve it. That's pretty wild. I guess the guy's name is Pete Schmidt, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And he spent 4 hours with the game, made a 1-hour reaction video out of it. In a post to YouTube, Pete Schmidt shared that they removed their Star Wars Outlaws preview video from the channel and is translated by DeepL. Now, you always got to take into consideration these translation AIs are not perfect. One of the channel's owners stated, "Hi, Peter here. We've taken a Star Wars video offline, not because we wanted to sweep something under the carpet or anything, but because it should never have been published and we don't want it on the channel. We'll talk a bit more about this on the next Petecast episode. I'm sorry." The post came in the wake of the comment revealing that a third-party agency had to approve of Star Wars Outlaws preview video. As translated by DeepL, the channel posted, "I completely understand the arguments that were made here, and that was not correct. I had the opportunity to play the game for 4 hours, and it was edited into over an hour video. As part of the review process, the entire video was thrown back to us, and an intermediary agency, not Ubisoft, asked for a lot of changes, especially to the wording at the beginning. But since I personally thought the game was really cool, I didn't see that as a big problem. This was just a huge miscalculation." It added, "Sorry, you don't have to pre-order the game. Of course, you can buy whatever you like with your money. I absolutely enjoyed the version I was shown. The process behind it was for the ass. And I'm sorry that we didn't print more against it, but let ourselves be beaten wide open. Big sorry for that." That part of the translation really went to hell in a handbasket. But as for the wording in the opening of the video, a source who was able to view the video before Pete Schmidt removed it from the channel informed that Park Place that Pete Schmidt encouraged viewers to pre-order the game and shared that he liked the game. Now, video game developers working with third parties and trying to dictate positive sentiment is not unheard of. YouTuber Total Biscuit saw his review of Wild Game Studio copyright struck by the developer after they previously supplied him with a review code. However, they did not like his negative review, thrashing the game. Total Biscuit explained on X back in 2013, "Long story short, dev sends code used to make critique. Devs dislike critique, dev abuses system to censor critique." That right there is filthy. You know, I mean, if you're going to put out a game, then you're going to send out review codes to people to review, and people are making their assessments of the game, whether you like it or not. Those things need to stand. You cannot stack the odds in your favor. That's absolute garbage. It's wrong. It's you can't call it criminal, but my God, it goes against morals. I mean, really, to say something is great when it's not. And to force people to say it's great because you've given them a review code, you're going to withhold future ones if they say anything otherwise. And then you go out there and people buy your game and it's garbage. And if reviewers were honest, the score wouldn't have been so high and maybe you wouldn't have made as much money. But that money you make off those fake reviews are the ones that you force to be good. You're actually stealing in a sense from people. Yeah, I know they're willingly giving their money and all that, not doing their due diligence. But it's almost like, it's like a low-key form of stealing from people. And that's nasty. These big game companies, man, they really make me sick. As I watch this game apocalypse unravel, and there's been some bad moments in it, like Game Informer going down. They were an unfortunate casualty in this war. But, watching Ubisoft go down will be a great thing if it happens, even if it's just a major reworking of the studio and the chopping off of the heads of some of the people who make these kind of decisions and do this kind of stuff, to falsely elevate their games or to inject DEI into games or to just, decide that a game that you own and you bought and you paid for, you can no longer play because, it's old. It's not right, guys. Absolutely not right. It's actually disgusting. YouTuber Jeremy Griggs of Geeks and Gamers also documented how Naughty Dog colluded with Twitter in 2020 to get his Twitter account shut down after he repeatedly mocked the game. He stated in the video, "All I know is they claim that I violated the rules." He later added, "I received a lot of DMCA takedowns in the past few months over memes. Memes from Naughty Dog because Naughty Dog doesn't like memes being shared." Outside of video games, Sci-Fi Wire's Danny Roth admitted to making positive reviews for films and in order to maintain access with companies like Disney. He stated on Sci-Fi Wire's podcast, Who Won the Week, here's the actual reality. Here's where we are in the industry. If you want to talk about, quote, access media, every single person that wants to have access to things early, that wants to get access to things so the traffic is drawn to their site, will on occasion. Everybody at this podcast, everybody in our industry occasionally has to play softball, occasionally has to look the other way a little bit. Everybody has to do it. In the sense that I hated a movie, but I won't say I hated a movie. Or an actor behaved a sort of way and you don't want to put it out there that happened. Co-host Karama Horn then chimed in, right, because you might not get the next review. Roth continued, to some degree, everybody in our industry that is part of this quote-unquote access media has to decide which battles they want to pick. Which are the ones where my voice is the one that has to get said. That's sad, and I get it. I will pre-order a game that I'm really interested in because I want to play it, but also because I want to be out there in the beginning when it first hits the street, making videos, making content on it and all that. And that's a thing. That's a real thing. If somebody gave me early access to a game, I'd love it. I'd love to be able to do that. And I would follow the rules as far as, if you have a review embargo, something like that and all that. But you'd have to be honest with a review. And as somebody that's new to YouTube and small, I've only got a couple thousand subscribers right now. There's a delicate line between, but I'm the guy that has to be honest, but I can understand the temptation of saying, well, if I'm not honest about this game, what credibility I have is just going to be gone when people, come to my review and they're like, wait a minute, that game was trash. You're just a shill. You're just looking for this. You're just looking for that. I have to be honest. I think in the long run, the honesty would pay off for channels and people and individuals and all that more than shilling for somebody. If I say, I might not get another early access from that developer, it is what it is. I might have to wait until games are released normally to put out my review. It is what it is. But the people that saw my review and saw the honesty of it would be back for the next review. They're saying, you know what? He may not have early access. I'll wait 2 or 3 days until he gets the game or a week, whatever, depending on the game, and to get his thoughts on it, as opposed to, no, he was a sellout. He said this game was wonderful and it sucked. All right, well, of note, Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot recently revealed that Star Wars Outlaws has the largest marketing campaign ever for Ubisoft. If this game shits the bed, these guys are in trouble. During the company's most recent earnings call, Barclays' Nick Dempsey said, when I look at the guidance for Q2, and if I assume something similar for back catalog in Q2 as Q1, kind of getting to 200 to 230 million, that sort of range. For the new release of Star Wars Outlaws, when I look at the $70 price and then assuming what you might get from it, I'm getting to around 5 million units, something in that sort of bracket. First of all, where could I be going with that thinking? Secondly, are you just being pretty conservative in your guidance? Because I guess given the interest in the game, we might have thought it would be more than 5 million units. Guillemot said, we can't comment on the very numbers you're quoting, but what we have factored in is a strong launch for Star Wars Outlaws that reflects the fact that it is among the most awaited games of the industry this year and a really strong positive community sentiment. And also the fact that we are coming with the biggest marketing campaign ever so far for an Ubisoft game. So that's what's been factored in the second quarter. What he failed to mention is a lot of the backlash that's out there. And there's a ton, really, Yeah, the game's going to sell. It's Ubisoft. Ubisoft has people that will buy whatever. They could have Taking a Poop Simulator come out and that people would buy it because it's Ubisoft. it's also Star Wars, and Star Wars has a big baked in crowd of players. The people that cross over from, here's the thing, right? The nerd bubble, comic books, Star Wars, video games, anime, all these things kind of gel together, and different people like different amounts of each of those different things, right? So Star Wars has definite crossover with video games a lot. I mean, if you look out through the years, how many Star Wars video games have there been? They've been a factor, God, for decades now. So it'll sell because of that as well. But will it sell what they anticipate? Will it be worth the marketing campaign? Or is the backlash going to have an impact on it? I'm going to be curious to see what happens when this thing hits the streets, and we'll see what the sales are. I guarantee you there's going to be some lying maybe on the reporting. I don't know. We'll have to see. Anyway, let me know what you think down below of this new Star Wars game, and Pete Schmidt taking his review down because of the third-party agency had to approve it. And what do you think overall of like guys that do reviews of these things? Do you have someone you trust? Do you have someone that you go to on a regular basis? If you do, let me know their name down in the comments. I've got a few that I listen to and trust. For the most part, they seem to be pretty honest. You can tell sometimes people will softball a little bit when it comes to critiques, and instead of saying something's outright bad, they'll say, well, it could use some work, or maybe after a patch, it'll do this and that. It's almost like code inside their vernacular when they're doing these reviews. But yeah, whatever. I think honesty is the best policy. If I found a guy that totally tore a game down, that everybody else was bringing it up, and he turned out to be right in the end, I'd remember that guy. And I'd also remember everybody who lied about it, but I would remember that guy and be like, you know what? I'm going for this guy next. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Until then, peace.